It is softball coverage like you've never seen before. This is Bases Loaded as we bring you live coverage of the NCAA Regionals in the softball championship. Here you see 4 games going on right now. Upper left, Baton Rouge. Upper right, Tuscaloosa, where Alabama just hit a grand slam. They're up 9-0 on Washington. The reigning national champion Florida Gators. Lower left, still batting bottom 1 as they take on Hofstra. Put up a 4 spot. An elimination game going on South Carolina and Dartmouth, and many, many more games, which we will bring to you here on Bases Loaded. Welcome in. I am Matt Schick, along with Garland Cooper, who played in the Women's College World Series in 06, 07 with Northwestern. 4 years playing in the NCAA tournament. What are you looking forward to most today?
Well, in day 2, in day 1, we saw a lot of experienced teams making some uncharacteristic mistakes, maybe some jitters with their first game in the NCAA tournament. I expect those teams today in day 2 tighten that up a little bit and capitalize on some of the mistakes their opponents are making. And keep in mind too, this is an elimination day. Yep. So very important. You're going to see these teams scratching and clawing, doing anything they can, making big plays to stay in.
Berths to the regional finals on the line. Losers today will either be eliminated or have some work to do. We take you live to Athens. Let's listen.
Strike 3. Wilkinson gets 2 aboard, strands him there. We are through 5 in a 1-0 game in Athens. Back in a moment on the SEC Network.
All right, here's what we do on Bases Loaded. We bounce around. The reigning national champs up 4-0, bottom 1 in Gainesville.
Batters have reached with 2 outs for Florida here in the first. The 0-1. Swing and a miss as that one dropped away from Justine McLean.
And Coach Anderson does not want to make a change in the first inning. Going to your bullpen in the first inning does not bode well for the confidence of the pitcher, nor the ability for you to have to come back later on today and win again.
Hit to Transu. She'll go to first. Just in time, and Hofstra breathes a sigh of relief.
All right, the inning is over there. Hofstra gets out of it down 4-0. To Baton Rouge we go. LSU trailing 1-0, bottom of the 5th. Tigers batting.
And we are now being told that there was a lightning strike in the area 6 miles away. Once you see one within 8 miles, there is a minimum 30-minute stoppage in play.
All right, LSU didn't wrap up until 1 o'clock local time this morning. They're back on the field, but now they're off the field with the weather delay. To Knoxville.
With that off-speed pitch at the right times, and I think that's the key, is just making sure you pull the trigger on that pitch at the right time.
She had such command of her pitches yesterday. Koenig squares around the bunt, fouls it off. And that, again, is the first base on ball she's given up over the last 2 days. Koenig, a feared hitter in the SEC, but has been struggling lately, just 2 for her last 20. And Karen Weekly thinks that pitch hit Koenig.
Well, I think what happened is it did hit her, but see how she's hanging over the plate.
Yeah, it did.
So umpire Vince Price called her back to the box. Because if you're in the batter's box, you don't have to move. You're not obligated to get out of the way of the ball if it comes into your box. But if you're hanging over the plate into the strike zone or even into the river and that ball hits you, it's not a hit by pitch.
Koenig got hit yesterday. But back in the batter's box, going to talk to Karen Weekly. Vince Price, our home plate umpire. So we got Vincent Price and Kristen Stewart in this game.
Yesterday, Koenig got hit also in her leg. Looks like she's just willing to take it any way that she can, get herself on base for her team. Yesterday, didn't even flinch when that ball ricocheted off her shin area.
Well, this is involving both teams now.
See, in a sacrifice bunt, you are trying to get as much of the plate with your barrel as you can, so you do tend to lean a little bit more over the plate than normal.
And Karen Weekly wants to continue this discussion. What do you think, Amanda, when you see that replay? You think she should get the base or not?
That's a tough one.
I mean, you were a
I think
pitcher,
she's hanging
so.
over. Well, as a pitcher, no,
You know,
she shouldn't
right,
get the
of
base.
course.
Of course not. But when you're hanging over, and you could see she's significantly over the plate. If she was standing in a hitting position, that ball would not have hit her. So it was the position she was in to sacrifice bunt. That ball was off the plate on the inside corner. So it is a ball, but not far enough inside to hit. And you can see even in her.
All right, for those watching on ESPN, Matt Schick and Garland Cooper here with you in studio. This is bases loaded coverage of the softball championship. Bonus coverage for you with a rain delay or weather delay there in Baton Rouge. We are in Knoxville now, looking in on Tennessee and Utah, bottom second. Let's listen in.
Throw down to first. They get her. As Overstreet was caught in no man's land there. And a heads-up play by Pacheco to throw her out.
And this is just a mental mistake on the base paths. Lexi Overstreet gets caught leaning way too far to second base. She was anticipating that ball being put down and is not able to change directions quick enough.
Again, this is bases loaded coverage where we're giving you live action of the regionals here for this softball championship. Upper right, there you see Alabama and Washington, the Tuscaloosa regional. And then lower right in Athens, it's Georgia and Western Kentucky in the top of the sixth. The Dogs up 1-0 there. Let's go to Athens now again. Home team, number 14 national seed, up 1-0.
For the stolen base. And actually, they're going to say now they got her out.
Well, it's going to look like she probably left early. I think first base umpire may have called that she had left the bag a little early before Kramer had released the ball.
So beating out the throw was Sydney Emanuel, but now called out for leaving early. One away, bases empty here on the 2-2 to Hugo. Ground ball to short. Over to first in time. Holloway to Downing, and we'll take a look again here at Emanuel.
Looks like she left maybe a step early or a hair early. But she was safe at second base for sure. But then again, you see first base.
All right, bases loaded coverage continues. We take you to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 2 outs away from a mercy rule win and advancing to the regional final on Sunday as they take on Washington now.
0-2 now to DuPont.
There's so much talk with conferences and, you know, Pac-12 as well as SEC always battling to say which conference is better. And this year the SEC having 11 teams postseason. Pac-12 not too shabby. They have 7 of their 9 programs postseason.
DuPont lifts that one up, out of play.
And I think the reason why they talk a lot about that is because when you battle in such a hard conference day in and day out for the second half of the season, it really prepares you for what you're going to see postseason and what challenges. You face that adversity throughout conference play so that when you get to postseason, you know, hey, have we learned from this? Did we get any better? And I think that's what's just continued to contribute to the success that Osorio has had and learned from this season.
Off the screen as well. DuPont staying alive. Well, that's what we saw too, Leah, in the opening round of regionals around the country. 15 of the 16 national seeds winning their openers, and 11 of those games decided by 5 or more runs. So the top teams in the country that play in the top conferences comfortably moving into the winner's bracket for this regional Saturday.
I think they beat up on each other all season long, and then it's kind of like a little bit of a relief that they don't have to see that same opponent in the first round of postseason at regionals. You know, but when you think about that, you think of Osorio and having to go throughout conference play and then in the tournament as well and face hitters like Florida has, or Tennessee, or LSU.
Got her looking.
Tuscaloosa, again, 1 out away from the Mercy Rule win against Washington. Meanwhile, runners on the corners in Knoxville. Tennessee trying to get on the board here in the bottom of the second. We'll keep an eye on there. But for now, let's try and get this final out against between Alabama and Washington in Tuscaloosa.
It just spins, breaks right back over the corner.
Pinch hitter now coming in for the Huskies. This is Casey Stengel, the transfer out of the University of Missouri, out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Stengel sees a lot of time in the batting order as a designated player. Also a pitcher for this Washington team.
This is very athletic and definitely a two-way player for them. And they said, you know, they think that she'll continue to grow as a pitcher as she continues to work with pitching coach Mike Roberts. But they like the fact that they can go to her off the bench or have her be a designated player for them.
Stengel 0 for 3 with a walk in the starting lineup yesterday as the DP in the 5th spot in the batting order. Alabama 1 out away from walking into the regional final with 2 straight run rule victories.
You know, that's not easy to do, to come off the bench, seeing your teammates struggling a little bit. And so that goal is to be patient. I think it's probably wise to maybe take that strike, but now it's tough as a hitter. You got to make sure you jump on that next strike that she gives you.
That was the plan, but it moved out of the way of her bat.
Well, 3 pitches in a row. She starts off with a low outside off-speed pitch. Then she goes to that backdoor curve, and then next thing you know, you think, okay, I'm going to see it in, and it's that rise ball that looks good and jumps over your bat.
Alabama 1 strike away from moving into the regional final in Tuscaloosa. There it is. 9 strikeouts in the 5-inning.
All right, Alabama, Alexis Osorio, 1 hit, 9 strikeout performance as they get the Mercy Rule win against Washington. They are the national runner-up from a season ago. How about the national runner-up from 2013? Tennessee with the bases loaded. Let's listen in.
And now 2-0 as that misses high. Yeah, Donovan, to me, has just not had the same stuff she had yesterday.
Yeah, it doesn't look as crisp. Maybe it's the fact that they are playing Tennessee. It's a different ball game. Obviously, a little bit more pressure. The crowd is a lot more. There's a lot more of them than there were yesterday in their game versus Virginia Tech.
Gear hit a grand slam earlier this year against Mississippi State. That was in April. Some of these fans, I mean, they are passionate about their softball here in Knoxville. Anything with a Lady Vols on the uniform draws the people out here in Knoxville. Three-0 pitch, and a run is walked in by Donovan. The 3rd walk surrendered by a pitcher yesterday that was basically untouchable.
And it just looks like right now Donovan's having a hard time finding the strike zone. She is not missing by much at all. The previous pitch looked like it was, from this angle, it looked pretty darn close. And then this last pitch on a 3-0, awfully close to be taking. So Donovan really not missing the zone by much.
Rainey Gaffin up, bases remain loaded after that run was walked in. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. And a strike on Gaffin. Gaffin fouls that back. Let's go back to the last couple of pitches of Donovan.
Just really trying to find that zone, and that looks awfully close on the knees with her off speed, and then the 3-0 pitch a little bit high. Maybe not as close as the previous pitch, but at this point, the Vols standing in, they're crowding the plate. They're almost taunting Katie Donovan to throw the ball in the zone, but they're being extremely patient.
0-2 pitcher to pitcher here. Gaffin, the pitcher for Tennessee. 2 outs. Gaffin hits that right to left field. Woodard makes the catch, and Utah is out of trouble. But
all right, Tennessee gets a run across as they leave the bases loaded there. LSU, Arizona State, still in a weather delay. That's in the bottom of the 5th. We'll continue to take you around live action next as bases loaded coverage continues.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
This is bases loaded coverage of the National Softball Championship. Bottom right, you see the reigning national champion, Florida Gators, with 2 on and 2 out. It looks like Hofstra is going to get out of that jam, and they do actually now 2 outs there. Upper right in Tallahassee, it's an elimination game between South Carolina and Dartmouth. Gamecocks looking to extend their 3-0 lead. And lower left, it's in Athens. Bottom 6, 2 outs, Western Kentucky trying to push a run across.
205 here on the season, a true freshman